let's start the recording. There we go. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a repeat, a little bit of a just kind of an overview on our first day of training. On on what we're gonna see how much we can get because I haven't been feeling well all weekend, but we'll see where we can go with this. Basically, just gonna step back and slow down, and we talked quite a bit on Wednesday and Thursday last week about training, the need for it, how discipline is a necessary part of training, that we have to discipline ourselves. So I got up today. I wasn't feeling good. I was like, oh man, I had a real hard time sleeping last night. A very hard time last night sleeping, and I didn't want to do it. And I thought, all right, now what are we going to do here? Nope, gonna do it. Gonna do it. So I sat down and I started putting together everything that we're going to talk about. Now, it was very it's very loose. Because of being Labor Day, I thought I don't want to make it too complicated. I don't want to get too deep into things. We are going to we are definitely just gonna kind of walk down through a large group of just kind of points that I think we need to be prepared and kind of work through and make sure that we are truly committed to the idea of this training. And again, the first thing we have to do, if you watched on Thursday, then this will be a little bit of a rehash for you. The first thing we have to do is we have to determine what is our purpose in training. Now, our training is a little different, I think, than a lot of times what we might look at and consider when we're talking about worldly training. What I mean is if you're training to be a truck driver, I'll talk about that because I did. It was a long time ago, but I did train to be a truck driver years and years ago. I had a trainer. And a huge thing for him when we were training was this concept of starting out with a split. Like so drivers can drive for 10 hours or be in the passenger seat for a certain amount of hours each day. At the time it was 10. I think it's different now, but at the time it was 10. And the gentleman who helped to train me when I first started driving, I went and got my license, all that stuff. The company said, yeah, we'll train you. They had him pick me up, and off we go. And he started the first probably 3 days. He was driving, and we were talking. He was going over things with me, so forth and so on. And then he might, let's say he was driving from 7 to 7, or he was going to be active from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. He would drive for 8 hours or so. The driver can work for 12, but they can only drive for 10. So he would drive for maybe 8 hours. And then he would throw me in the truck to drive for 4 hours while he did a bunch of paperwork. That's how we started. As time went by, a couple days later, it was he'd drive for his 10 hours. I'd hop in the driver's seat, he'd sit in the passenger seat and do paperwork for 2 hours, and then he'd go to bed. And we started running as more of a team. I would then drive for 8, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever. I was allowed, I was in training, so I was allowed to say, oh, 6 hours, okay, good enough. So he would drive, from like 7 to 5, and then I would drive from 5 to like midnight at first. And then build that up over time. So what I want to talk about is I want to talk about how we're gonna do this training. I'm gonna need, if you're out there watching and you're like, all right, I kind of like this idea. I want to maybe work along with old Chuckles here on the training thing. If that's something that you think might be something you want to do, then I'm going to need you to email me. Chuckles@godslovelive.com. And be like, hey, Chuckles, I want to do this. Oh, it's time. We got to do a break real quick here on the radio. Ashes Remains here on GodsLoveLive.com with Chuckles. In the afternoon, this beautiful Monday. I almost said Memorial Day. Monday, Labor Day. Hope you're having a great Labor Day. I hope you're having some kind of picnic, cookout, something to take the day and enjoy yourselves and just kind of relax. We are on video right now talking about, you can go to facebook.com/GodsLove2024 to find the video, or you can find it on YouTube. You can find it on the Roku channel. I will make sure it gets posted up to our website sometime in the next couple of days. Going to be a short, I know I say this all the time and it never quite works out. Going to be kind of a short video today. I'm recording this show, and we're going to go from there to taking. I'm going to try to get done early and take it easy for a while. Go back to the current abode and relax for a bit. I would normally tell you to text me. I'm not going to tell you to text me because, well, quite frankly, I'm not. I have my phone on airplane mode. I'm only doing the video because it's a daily video, man, and I want to do it. I wish I'd been a little more prepared. I could have enjoyed my Labor Day a little more. The relaxation. I think we need it. What do you think? That's one of the most important parts of training. Chuckles. I mean, that argument can be made. When you look at, for instance, physical training. If I have a goal, I want to get to a certain bench press weight. I want to bench press. I currently bench press 215 pounds, and I'd like to get to the point where I can bench press 350 pounds. A very important part of that training process to build up that max bench, you're going to find is your rest. Because you work and you work and you work, and then you have to rest. You have to rest to give your muscles time to recuperate from the training. Training is hard. Training takes a lot out of muscles. If that's the case, our spiritual training is going to also take a lot out of us. And we should be prepared, correct? We should be prepared to take a rest to let those spiritual muscles recover from that training so that the next day can be that much better with training. What do you think? Rosalie Hovenkamp, right now, this is My God Provides here on GodsLoveLive.com. So, if we're talking about what is our purpose, our first purpose, what is our highest aim in our training? To please our Father in the heavens. If pleasing our Father in the heavens is our highest aim in our training, how do we accomplish that? I learned years ago that when it comes to training, at least, physical, like weight training, running, whatever, set goals you can accomplish and then move the bar. Not move the bar out of reach, going, oh, so you can't reach that. Like, no. Set a goal, accomplish that goal. You're going to feel good about accomplishing that goal. And once you accomplish that goal and feel good about accomplishing that goal, then you can set the next one. So I want to set a goal. Our goal for our first part of our training is going to be to understand what pleases God. Ooh, yeah. Is that something we can work out? Is that something we can figure out, what pleases God? I think it is. I think it absolutely is. I don't even think it's that hard. There's a lot of scripture that tells us what pleases God. There are some scriptures that tell us things that we have to have, otherwise it's impossible. Hebrews 11:6, without faith it is impossible to please him, for he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. So there's one of your first ones. But if our goal of training is going to be to please God, that's the main goal. There's going to be others, don't worry. This is the ultimate overall goal. We're going to have to. It's like the bench pressing. Okay, if I bench press 175 pounds, but I'd like to get up to 400, I don't start with 400. I'm not going to be able to move it, not even a little bit. This is the 400. What pleases God is the 400. Then comes the steps. How do we get there? Okay, so if I want to get to 400 and I'm at 170, well, the first thing I do is I'm going to pound out 170. Or maybe I'll jump it to 180 tomorrow. Do that for 2 or 3 days. Let myself rest once I get to, say, 215. All right, I'm going to pound out 180, and then the next day I'm going to pound out 190, and I'm going to try to get 10 each, 10 each, 10 each, and do 4 sets, whatever. Whatever your formula is. And then I'm going to increase, rest. I'm going to increase to the point where I feel like I just can't take it anymore. I'm literally going to increase until I just feel like I cannot take it anymore. And then when I feel like I cannot take it anymore, I'm going to rest, and I'm going to allow that muscle to relax and give it a day to recuperate. We've been working hard. See where we're going with this? We've been working hard. This is a good subject for a Labor Day. We've been working hard. Now it's time for a little rest. Now, our goal isn't to get to the rest. I mean, it doesn't hurt to know it's coming. If I sit down right now and I tell you, okay, let's understand 3 major things about pleasing God that we can understand. You're going to pick 3. Well, if you look at Isaiah 61, I think you can outline more than just 3. I think if you look at the Isaiah 61 mission of Messiah, it's pretty obvious. Bring good news to the poor. Bind up the brokenhearted. Proclaim liberty to the captives and a release from darkness to the prisoners. Okay, right there is proclaim good news, bind up the brokenhearted, freedom for captives, release from darkness for the prisoners. Right there's 4. One very small chunk of scripture, I've got 4. Four things I can understand that please God. That all has to do with spreading the gospel, right? If we look at Jesus' actual words, he tells us, bearing fruit in good works and increasing your knowledge. This isn't actually Jesus' words. This is Colossians 1:10. Bearing fruit in good works and increasing your knowledge of God are pleasing to God. Jesus said, if you love me, you'll obey my commands. His commands were to serve. His were actually pretty simple too, right? Not only did he speak the words, whatever you've done for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you've done for me. Matthew, was it 25? But he also took the action. He washed feet. He served people. There's a scene in one of the episodes of The Chosen not too long ago. My wife and I have been watching it when we can. We're watching together even if I'm not home. Like, we'll get on like video and be like, all right, it was one of those things, you know. We're going to hopefully continue to try to do that. But Matthew 23:11 and 12, the greatest among you will be your servant, for those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. He calls us to be servants. We don't know how to do that. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong, and I'll tell you you're a liar. Because for the most part, human beings are all about self-care, self-preservation, self-love, self-gratification. If you don't believe me, look at our history. Take any 100-year period of history and just look at it and go, oh, yeah, especially the last 50 years. The last 50 years, it's been about self-reliance and what's the one that the feminists always say? Woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. And then you got men who are, oh, God, we don't really need women. I even feed into that myself sometimes. I got into this idea that I don't really need my wife. And this is not necessarily a terrible thing. I could survive alone without my wife. I don't want to. That's the transition for me. Is it's not about need anymore. It's about I don't want to live without you. I don't want to live without her. Not even a little bit. I find that a great deal of my drive, although it's been shifted by God's will, a great deal of my drive in life up until now has been my wife and children. Anything I've done, any improvement made to me has come because of my wife and children. Seriously. That's not taking away from what God has done in my life, because believe me, He's done a lot. in my life as far as training goes. What I'm speaking about is the fact that the only like one of the big drivers in me even recognizing that God wants to make any kind of change in my life, that he wants me to serve him. The recognition I have there, it's all about it's all about it started. I shouldn't say it's all about. It started with taking care of my family, helping my family, wanting to be a good man and a good father, not realizing exactly what that entailed in my service to the Lord until after it kind of he flipped it. My pretend gratitude, I've told this story several times. My pretend gratitude for my life on Facebook turned into legitimate realizing just how much I love my life, which changed me fundamentally as a person, as will happen. As will happen. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is something that will happen for anyone who tends to take it seriously. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said this because I'm like, you realize that the transformation is a must. If there is no change, if there's no it may be very slow. It may be, I look at it like my relationship with my son. I want to see my son do better and better and better. He is not necessarily at any given point in his life been doing exactly what I want him to do, and he probably never will. And I don't necessarily even want that, to be honest. Because I don't want him to be this, how do I put it? Not thinking for himself, just kind of, I'm going to do everything I'm told because I'm told. I don't want him to be an automaton. Neither does the Lord, by the way. God doesn't want us to be automatons. He gave us free will for a reason. That is one of the gifts that he has given us. We need to recognize that gift completely, and we need to live in that identity. My wife and I were talking the other day, and she brought that very thing up. She's like, why did Jesus change Peter's name? Watching Peter, why did Jesus change Peter's name? And I'm like, oh, here we go. It didn't start with Jesus. I know. You're all like, here we go. No, it didn't start with Jesus. And like I said, I got the sneezes. And it's a long-standing tradition. Abram got his name changed to Abraham. Saul to Paul, Simon to Peter, Jacob to Israel. Sarai to Sarah. That's the big ones. Names hold special meaning, and there's a reason that we would see God change names, whether it be God the Father or God the Son. All right, we're gonna get back into the radio thing. I don't know how much longer I can hold out today. Fulfilling the Isaiah 61 mission, that would be a good place to start. It's just a start, by the way. And we're going to talk about that more over the next few minutes here on the radio program. Oh. See if I can get this going. There we go. Help is on the way, round in the corner. Help is on the way. That was Toby Mac. Help is on the way. Maybe midnight here on God'sLoveLive.com with Chuckles. This beautiful Labor Day afternoon. I hope you're having a good time. I hope you're enjoying the music, staying safe, happy, healthy, comfortable, and of course, you know, whether that's cool, warm, whatever. I hope you're enjoying your Labor Day. I really do. Shoot me an email and tell me all about it. Chuckles at God'sLoveLive.com. That's Chuckles at God'sLoveLive.com. What's up, folks? This is the new YouTube playlist. Yeah. Kingdom Training. Training for the Kingdom. This is not necessarily, by the way, quote unquote, me training you. I don't know that I have anything to train you in. I just know that this is important. I don't know God's plan in this. I just know that as I've been moving forward, making videos, doing all the things that I'm doing, this keeps it just keeps evolving to where it's at. And the last couple of days, week, has been one, it's been a time where if I were going to be derailed, distracted from this mission, it would have happened in the last week, I guess. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow it. I'm just not. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's attacks. I got stuck away from home. There's so much. Craziness around me. Some caused by my own behavior, some caused by my own decisions, also some just because. Literally, some just because. Some could very well be an attack by an enemy. I can't. I'm not going to blame everything on the enemy. But at the same time, I can't pretend like it's not a thing, man. I've seen things happening over the last, I don't know, week, two, last couple of days, whatever, that have made me go, okay, wait a second. So here's kind of the problem that I tend to get in when it comes to all of this. I actually have an interesting take on things. Like, if the enemy's attacking, it makes me go, wait. It doesn't make sense because by now they should know. By now, any enemy should know that the more they attack, the harder I'm going to push. There have been times where I know why. It's, as silly as it sounds, I know why they keep doing it. The enemy's going to keep pushing because they're looking for that spot, that limit. They're looking for me to live the way I lived in the past, because there was always that line. Up until now, and maybe there still is. Maybe there, I don't know. Maybe there's a line. Maybe there's currently a line that when it hits, it'll be like, all right, I give up. Sometimes it feels that way, let me tell you. Sometimes I want to. I'm not going to. Listen, this has been the epitome of moving forward in this training. And if I was going to try to give you any kind of advice as we move forward in this, the only advice I would give you is get ready. Buckle down. Strap in. Put on your big boy pants, because here it comes. If you take training into the kingdom of the heavens seriously, you're going to suffer. The enemy's going to come at you. That is a promise. Not my promise. God's promise. It's exactly what happened to his son. It's exactly what happened to all the apostles. It's what happens.